Hello and good evening, welcome back. It's the Clay Golem here with our final in this, at least this series, live stream. Excuse me, I'm a bit uncomfortable, just reorganising myself because professional as always. Yes, this is the last in our series of this particular live stream where we're doing Phandelver and below, just because life gets in the way and I've got too many things going on as always and I can't fit everything in. But thank you for joining me. Hope you can hear me all right. The usual kind of paranoia when I start live streaming. So where did we get to? Well, we pretty much kind of finished everything, didn't we? Because Igla, good evening, mate. Good to have you along. Pretty much every single one you've been here for. I think there was one that you missed. But yeah, thank you very much for your support doing these. It's been brilliant. Right, so Phandelver and below. So we finished everything except we've got one place still to do because we literally got to the end of this. Is Agatha's Lair. So the very weird dealing with the Banshee side bit, it's a bit odd. So we're going to go back and we're going to do that. So just to show you in the module, this is going off on a quest where you're doing it for Sister Garily in Phandelver. And she wants you to go miles out of your way to go and talk to a Banshee, give her a present, and hopefully come back with information on a book. It's absolute side quest stuff. There's really nothing in it for the players. Not really. As it stands in the thing. So the whole of this is Connie Berry and Agatha's Lair. It's got one heading. That's it. And then there's Old Owl Well. That's kind of it. You know, it's really, really weak. And again, this is the original Phandelver and below version of the module rather than the Shattered Obelisk version. Okay, so they have improved it dramatically in that. So let's create that. That's part of the Spider's Web stuff. It goes in with Wyvern Tor and Thunder Tree and everything else. Let's create a new scene. And we're going to call it Conenberry. I'm going to spell it wrong. Connie Berry. I had to look it up. So we're going to stick Connie Berry in there and we're going to obviously choose our map. Now, did I happen to already have Connie Berry? I did. I've already got Connie Berry. I haven't got maps and stuff for this, so I just went digging and went and found one. I'm going to make my background black because that's the way I like it. Aha, aha. So I found this little map. Now, size-wise, we've got a bit of an issue with our grid size here because look at it, it's massive. I know you can't see that very clearly, but definitely need to fix that. And I've not really looked at this map apart from going, that will do. Let's shove it in and then see what problems we get, which is always a kind of an interesting way to do it, isn't it? Let's just make that. Yes, do it. So it's quite a small map. You know, let's look at these buildings. What's that? 5'10". That's like 15 foot across. I need to put up my make my grid more visible for you. There we go. I mean, it's flipping ridiculous, isn't it? So actually, now I've actually brought this map in. This map might not be suitable at all. It's absolutely tiny. So obviously I can resize the map. There's all sorts of things I can do. I mean, I can make the grid scale 10 foot. You know, I can actually resize the whole thing if I want to and make that map much bigger. In fact, let's just jump to 2 for example. But it's not a particularly good definition map, so it's starting to really, there we go. So that's not yeah, it's not even a scaled map. So this is not a particularly good choice. I'm going to come back to this scene if we've got time and fiddle with it. I don't want to spend ages messing around with a map that's not particularly brilliant. Now, I mean, the map looks fine. You know, it's a pretty looking map. It's just not the right size image for us, and I'm not sure if I can blow that up enough to make it actually kind of, you know, work for us. Hello, Jason. Good evening, mate. So the other one is Agatha's Lair. So let's see if my map that I ran, and this is the problem with not having your own maps or not using maps that are produced by I'm going to say professional in inverted commas, but you know what I mean? Like the big map builders. We did the whole of Curse of Strahd using Aeon Bar stuff. And they are scaled right, they are pretty, they've got everything you need in it, which just makes your life really easy. So I forgot to actually pick the image. Idiot. And I don't think I brought in Agatha's Lair. So where's this other one? Okay, so you can see the map there. So let's call that one in. Let's have a look and see how bad or good this one is. And it just looked fine. But yeah, if you're not using those professional map makers where they're making them for Foundry, Roll20, they're not making them for VTTs, you run into all sorts of problems. And it's why I'm loath just to use random ones I found off the internet, because you end up spending potentially so much time trying to get it, you know, to kind of look right. You might as well give up. I mean, that's better, isn't it? That's a much better sizing. You try to find a consistent map maker for the various adventures I run. Yes, absolutely. I mean, if I could afford to, I think I'd probably just hire Aeon Bar just to make all my maps for me. You know, now just you saying that, by the way, I did go hunting. You'll notice I've got this folder, campaign resources, because I've been doing exactly what you've just said, Jason, about trying to find consistent maps. So I've done things like Rime of the Frost Maiden, and I've tried to find who has got a map pack that has, you know, all the things that I need in it that are the same type of map, the same artwork and things like that. Rakuz is a good map maker. We use his maps for our kingdom, for our Kingmaker Pathfinder 2nd Ed. Brilliant. Yeah, if you find, I mean, we ought to do that. Well, in fact, let's do that right now. So in this video, apart from you guys who are with me live, if you're watching this video afterwards, if you've got a map maker who's your favorite and you kind of go, oh yeah, they do these sets of maps, or I use this set of map for this adventure, drop it in the comments, because it's so useful and it cuts out so much time for people hunting around finding good map makers. I probably should do a post on I was going to say, where should I do it? On Patreon, actually. I should do a post on Patreon, and where you guys can just add them in, and then I can keep that post updated for you of who, as a community, we recommend as good map makers. Now, we know that people have got different styles that they like, so we're never going to end up with a list that everybody goes, oh, this is the one list. There's going to be bits in there where I'm going to look at and go, ugh, I hate that style. There's going to be bits in there that I love, but actually you guys go, ugh, I hate that style. So, you know, just bear that in mind. But yeah, I've been going through exactly that exercise of trying to pull together. So I've got Rime of the Frost Maiden, Descent into Avernus as well, and obviously what I haven't immediately ticked is where did I get these ones from, who are they from, and also whether they were Patreon or not, because obviously if I share those with you, you guys need to know where to find them. The most frustrating thing, Witchlight as well, the most frustrating things, of course, is trying to find maps that I can use freely to share with you guys. Because if I can't use them, if I can't share them freely, I can't put them in packs and stuff. You know, look at these maps. You know, it's beautiful coloured maps and things like that. Wild Beyond the Witchlight needs that cartoony kind of look because of the nature of it. So yeah, if you've got those kind of maps, let us know. That would be brilliant. Map packs, whole adventure packs are perfect because they all match the same style, and I'd much rather have that, even if it's not quite my style, than having a weird mixture of things. Alternatively, I need to get good at making maps, but I don't have the time. I've got to stop committing to things I can't do. All right, so let's say we're going to go with this. This is fine. There's nothing wrong with this. We can just slap some walls in, and we can go with this, can't we? So let's just, again, we're going to put our walls in the middle of the walls, so from the outside our players can see the tree, but can't see inside the tree, and from the outside, from the inside, they can see the inside and the edges of the tree without seeing weird outside of the tree stuff. Now you will notice I've got snapping on, which doesn't always give me the best option for these on this type of map, but whatever. As you can see, I'm not caring that much. It's only to give them an idea. There we go. That's all it needs. It's just to stop the players moving through walls and stuff like that. We'll move that one out a bit because it is the same there actually. Just to stop them from cutting across that corner. Because remember, tokens will fit anywhere where there is at least half of the square available. So they can stand here, because even though that cuts across, half of the square is available. They can stand here as well, because more than half of that square is available. They can't stand in that one. This one is debatable. Depends what mood Foundry's in. It probably will allow them to stand there because of that. So yeah, just so you know, just be aware of that. They can stand here because it's more than half of that particular square, etc. So it's just worth knowing that. All right, so before we turn to that other map and try and sort that out, what else do we need to do here? Well, we've got our grid in, we've got our walls in. There's not an awful lot. Let me find, because it's done it again, and I've lost the module because I'm an idiot. There we go. I say it all the time. You don't want to see that. Wrong one. Too many windows open all over the place. That's the problem. Or not enough monitors. That's what it is. Right, so Agatha's lair. So what do we need? So Town of Cornbury we're going to come back to. Dealing with Agatha. So it doesn't tell you an awful lot about Agatha, does it, really? We know she's a banshee. Okay, so that's the whole point, is we're coming to deal with a banshee, which is pretty darn scary. Now, bearing in mind your players are going to be second level, possibly third level when they do this. A banshee's a lot to take on. So it just talks about basically make a persuasion check. And then she'll give you the stuff, and that's it. I mean, it's ridiculous. So they're supposed to ask about finding the location of Bo Gentle's book. Okay, that's what they're supposed to be doing. But they can use it to find some stuff like the location of Cragmore Castle, the location of Wave Echo Cave, identity of Black Spider. They may ask about other things in here that are a bit more pertinent to their quest. Well, first of all, we need a banshee, don't we? So let's see if we can find a banshee. There we go, from our monster manual. We're going to stick with the monster manual ones rather than Tasha's type ones. We're going to slap that in there, and we're going to rename our banshee to Agatha, of course, because if we've got proper names, we should use them. So we are Agatha, the banshee. There we go. Split the difference. And remember, just because we've updated this, it does not automatically update the token. That will just say Banshee. And actually, it's the token I want the name on, so I can remember what her darn name is, or otherwise she'll become Angela the Banshee, she'll become Arabella the Banshee, and everything else. So, yeah, a CR4 monster, which is quite a lot for the party to potentially have to take on. So we don't really want to have to fight it, and the whole point is they don't fight it. So let's stick Agatha here. Now, again, in the updated version, there's a lot more interesting stuff that goes on around dealing with Agatha than there is in this version. I'm just wondering if I want to move that grid a little bit to make things like the seats and stuff a bit better. I might do, actually. Get rid of that. As per usual, I'll get halfway through a sentence and then get distracted. So we can just use the arrow keys just to move things a bit. So, you know, if we want her sitting on that chair, for example, you know, we can line it up a bit better like that. It doesn't matter for this because the walls are all over the place. So you can just line things up how you think are going to fit best for you. I think we're going to do that. That's fine. And then we can sit Agatha over there. Now I'm going to hide her because, and you might be aware of this because I did it through a lot of Curse of Strahd as well. I tend to hide monster tokens and things like that until I know how that's going to play out, until the party arrive, until they describe what they do. The NPC might hide, they might be somewhere else rather than there, and if I leave the token on there, the party come in and immediately see that token, then I have to apologise and go, oh no, wait, hang on, let me move that somewhere else. You've blown it, mate, don't do that. So I always hide them because I'm an idiot and I don't set my scenes up in game while, you know, they're like, oh, we're now going to move scene. I don't jump to the scene, make changes, then bring the players in. I just move us all over. So I set my scenes up in a way that if we jump to a scene anywhere and the particular point, it doesn't matter that the players can see immediately, because my scene should be ready for them to see it when I load it. Obviously, let me just get rid of my chat stuff. Obviously, before a session, I will check scenes and I will make any amendments that might be required as part of that. Right, so they are basically going to negotiate with Agatha with the idea of not getting into a fight with her in this version of the adventure. Really simple. That's it. That scene is done. What I didn't do on this scene is, and I need to, right, so I need to get rid of my grid for a start. I haven't looked at lighting. And something I want global illumination on. And something I've come to realise that is a bit annoying. By default, I want all of my scenes to be 0.95. So for those of you who are interested and have been following Curse of Strahd, I have just done an update to Curse of Strahd. It's now 1.1 version of that, of the new one. Because I fixed some of the lighting of the scenes. I noticed a couple of scenes didn't have global illumination on that should have done. And a couple of them didn't have token vision on that should have done. There was a couple of bits like that. Easy to fix for you guys, but I thought, well, let's go and fix them. And I've changed all the global illumination thresholds to 0.95. So that when we click dark and it actually goes dark, the players will actually be blind. And I didn't save that setting. The players will actually be blind, which is what we want them to be. Okay, if it's dark, it should be dark. And I didn't save it, didn't change the grid either. There we go. Make it daylight again. All right, so is there anything we need to do on here? There's a little flaming thing here, so we could put a little light source on here, couldn't we? You know, just like a candle. Let's do it 5 and 10. Make it a little orangey type flame. Something like that, a little flicker, and you know, I overuse torch massively, but I think it's the best one for any kind of open flame, whether it's a torch, a lantern, or anything like that. It's just the best one, and of course you can turn it off and on however you want. I think that's all we need for this. There's nothing else to do. We've got walls, we've got our creature from what's in the module. That's it. Really, really simple. So, what else do we need to do for this? There's only Coneyberry, and this map is pants. Because this is the problem with the live streaming. I don't want to do too much prep, because otherwise I start prepping and then the live stream and I go, and I completed this scene, which is not the point of the live stream. But you can see some of the issues with this. This one is way, way too blurry. Doesn't mean we can't fix it. But to be honest, Coneyberry, are they even going to come here? I mean, they're going to come through Coneyberry, possibly, if they actually bother coming to do the Agatha bit. I'm just going to see if we can line this up at least and make it a little bit more. So the picture needs to be a bit smaller to make that fit. So let's try and make it that a bit smaller. Let's see if we can get that to fit a bit better. So, in case you don't know what I'm doing, for those who haven't seen loads of these, just on the grid config tool, if I hold, it says it here, grid size pixels. I'm holding down shift and I'm using the scroll wheel. It says it here. There we go. To change the size of the image. It's not changing the grid size. It's zooming in and out the image. So that way you can make the image fit with what you need. So when that, zoom in a bit. So I'm using this top left hand one here. If I got that on the wall exactly where I want it, is this corner over here? No, it's not. Is the picture need to get bigger or smaller? In this case, the picture needs to get a little bit bigger to make that match. But because it moves the whole image, it will throw out your original one. So you do need to keep adjusting like this. A little bit more. A little bit more. And it's just kind of tweaking it. So when you've got properly sized maps and stuff, you don't need to do that. So this is what I mean. So this building is now perfect. This one's out. This one's out. They're all out now because the map isn't, it doesn't matter what I do to the size of the image or the size of my grid, it is never going to fit because this map is not actually made to a grid scale. There's now what I can do about it. I mean, you know, remake it. That's the answer. Let's slap this out because my players are not going to spend a lot of time here. However, using a map like this, we can then actually do something a bit more interesting with Connieberry, rather than, oh, there's an abandoned town, and they go, yeah, and you go, well, no, that's it. It's abandoned town. Nothing to see here. There's nothing to do here. Why are there these buildings here that are completely ignored and left? Nothing's moved in here. Well, in my game, something's moved in here, even if I haven't decided what that is at the moment. So we've got Igla and Jason. You're both in the chat and active at the moment. What monsters should we put in the ruins of this town that have taken up residence because nobody else is actually living here at all? Give us some ideas. What could it... I'm struggling with my walls as usual. What could it be? I've got a couple of ideas myself, but... There we go. I can see the chat going off. Rats and centipedes. Oh, well, yeah, yes, actually, yeah. So things like giant centipedes and rats and stuff, absolutely. Yeah, they're very plausible options, aren't they? I can't get that wall to go in the right place. Yep. Conies or rabbits. Oh, yes. Yeah, nice. A heron, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's not a bad idea. Were-rabbits. We could make a were-rabbit. We could make a were-rabbit. And because I'm not sticking to the grid, this is not my own map. A ghost never finished a deal and needs to sell a thing from his destroyed store to find peace. I like that. I like that. It's just daft enough to give them a side quest, something that's a bit more interesting, isn't it? Just something a bit more interesting than you find a ruined town that even giant rats won't live in. Yeah. And we've got a number of buildings. Even if we stick with this map, we got a number of buildings. I'm struggling so much with my walls because it's not on the grid. Yeah, lots of things we could do. I'll tell you what we can do also, of course, is not that. Go away, Omnisearch. The other thing we can do is do things like Brain Monster Manual, and because we can do the Monster Manual by things like challenge rating, we can pick a challenge rating that is kind of right, and like let's go for CR2, and then we can actually look at monsters and go, right, what could live in here, as well as some of those other things. So yeah, Jason, you like the pests idea, rats, spiders, centipedes. Yeah, absolutely. So what we got kind of things at this, what would be approximately the right CR. Jellies, we don't want ogres and things like that. I think that's a bit much. Grix griffins, giant constrictor snake, possibly not quite right. Carrion crawler. How about carrion crawler that's just kind of slowly working its way through the ruined town, consuming everything? 'Cause everybody loves a carrion crawler, right? And if you're running this for kind of like newer players, because it's not complex enough for more experienced players, really, they'll kind of get bored. It's very very quick and easy, relatively speaking. Carrion crawler might be nice. Shove one of those out there, because those are actual complete bastards. they are TPK monsters. They are. So yeah, carrion crawler. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's go back up to CR1. Other things. Quasits. Psychic grey ooze. Maybe not, right? Giant spiders, of course. They're always a plausible one for ruins like this, above ground ruins. Don't want to throw any more undead in there. There's a few. We've got enough undead, I think. CR a half, what we got in here. And this is what I like about the new Monster Manual. As much as I have struggled to find stuff, I am getting used to the new layout of it. I'm not such a noob with it, but the fact I can go by CR or I can go by other things and just look at it. Swarm of insects, we can slap that out. Rust monster, possibly. Another one is another one like the carrion crawler that everybody thinks is really easy, but actually can be really, really nasty. Giant wasp is an option. And then we're into our much lower things where we need multiples of, but that fits with your pets, your rats, spiders, centipedes, and things like that. Giant wolf spider, we can put that out. There we go, we've got proper giant centipede. Swarm of rats. That might be enough. Let's just see what we've got down at these lower ends, if there's anything we might kind of want to stick out as well to go with this. We start getting into kind of pets and things like that rather than monsters to fight. Giant rat. What do we think? That's a pretty good collection of potential just creatures that are living in the ruins, right? And we can just, I mean, we don't need to go with all of them. It might be a bit overkill to have a carrion crawler and a rust monster. Just throw everything from the same CR. But certainly we can have multiple of some of these smaller ones. That would be pretty cool. So let's just chuck a few of them around. Why would there not be a giant spider? Probably in one of the... Let's put it in one of these bigger ones here. And we can slap that in there. I know I've abandoned doing the walls, but I was struggling and this is a lot more fun. So I'm going to come back and do the other bits. Carrion crawler. Is it yes or no to the carrion crawler, guys? What do we think? I'm going to get rid of the rust monster. I think that's a step too far. So we've got lots of these little outbuildings, haven't we? Giant centipede. I'm going to stick that over here. What looks like stables. So what level? So in theory, they should be level 2, possibly level 3-ish. Yeah, crawlers can be tough. Yeah, that's why I'm umming and ahhing, because, you know, oh, it's a CR2 monster, but, you know, and for those of you who don't know, for the people watching the video who are not, these paralyzing tentacles, they, you know, they are a problem, and a multi-tack on a carrion crawler uses paralyzing tentacles and makes one bite attack, so it can paralyze and bite in the same turn. And it's very, very easy for, you've got a party of 4 people, in a couple of rounds you can have 2 members of the party completely paralysed and this thing is still going. It's got 51 hit points. Okay, its armour class isn't brilliant, but it really can be a pest. And I am noticing actually that this is not as bad as it used to be. Carrion crawlers used to be absolutely lethal. There was at one point, you just had one and it one-shot a PC. Yeah, because that bite attack, if it paralyses, that bite attack's at advantage. So it just absolutely chews through them. It's 2d4 plus 2 plus d6 against a 2nd level wizard. They're gone. And it's a constitution saving throw. The chances are that wizard ain't going to survive it. They're just gone. You hate everything that takes players' action away. Yeah, they just sit there for half an hour doing nothing if they roll bad. Yeah, okay. There we go. Carrion crawler's dead. An auto-critical. Yes, Jason. I forgot that. Of course. Paralysed them. Advantage to hit and automatically a critical because they're paralysed. Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. You convinced me, Igla. I was umming and ahhing. Is that too much? You're right. It is too much. Carrion crawlers should be for higher level parties that are actually more likely to be able to deal with it as a pest rather than a significant challenge, because you're right, anything that leaves the player sitting there going, oh, another turn I can't do anything, is poo for them. All right, so let's put in some rats. We can put in some rats up here, little swarm of rats. We can put in a giant rat next door. Absolutely. We can put in several swarms of rats. They can be all over the place. Why not? We don't need to just stick with one. You were the giant centipede, weren't you? What did I put over here? Oh, that was a giant wasp. I got them the wrong way around. I was going to put the giant centipede over here, living amongst the straw and stuff like that. Now, this is the kind of thing where you, with these kind of creatures, most of them, they're animals. They might be a giant centipede, but they're an animal. They're not going to want to fight. They're not going to leap out and attack the party. But if the party are searching around in, I don't know, oh, maybe somebody left some treasures in the straw, and they're having a good old rummage, that's when they get into that fight. So again, these things are likely to be hidden. A swarm of rats is not going to, by default, want to attack. They might try and nick stuff out of your backpack and your rations and stuff, but they're not aggressive. Their self-preservation comes first. So again, it's only if they're going to be disturbed and things like that. So again, I'm going to hide those. Now, what with this one, my swarm of insects, yeah, very similar. So we can put those somewhere as well. You know, something like, you know, one of these crates and stuff like that. They've made a nest in there. You disturb the crate, they all pour out. There's a bit of combat, that kind of thing. And then we can stick this giant spider that's taken up residence in this building over here. Do we need a giant wasp? No, we don't. I'm going to get rid of that, or otherwise it's a bit overkill. So we haven't filled every single nook and cranny with them, and not every single monster is going to be a fight. It's going to be more a case of, like, if you spend too long searching around, you're going to find something to fight sooner or later. And I think that's probably a nicer way to go. So yeah, we can do that. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I think that's a pretty good way of doing it. All right, I hadn't done anything like the number of walls, and this is slightly problematic because of the grid. You know, look, jump, jump, jump. It's not going to line up at all. I'm having to use a lot of shift, and if you use a lot of shift, it's difficult to get the walls to line up. But hey, I've started, so I should finish. It's not so bad when you've got control held down because it automatically puts that first point in. But every time you break, fine. And then when you come back and go, oh, I want to fill in the gap. I want to fill in, I'm assuming those are supposed to be windows. Then it becomes a problem. There we go. And then we can, so here where I'm trying to get that to meet with that wall, yeah, it becomes difficult to get things accurate. Ooh, extra one there. Now, if these are supposed to be windows, I mean, look at the place. It's wrecked. So I'm not going to fill those in. I'm going to leave them as they can see that they're windows, but they can climb in and out of them really easily. There's no reason for me to make that difficult and put windows in. I don't think that actually helps anything at all. No, don't do that. Start a new wall, thank you. It's holding down control still. Go from there to there. So again, from the outside. It's me with my concentrating again. I can't talk and concentrate. Now these ones are windows. Now this is a substantially more. You know, it's a bigger tower, isn't it? This is whatever this building was back in the time of Connieberry, when it was up and functioning. This was obviously a significant building. So what we can do is here and say, well, actually, do you know what? I've got the doors good. The doors actually are intact. There we go. The doors are intact, and we can say that the windows here are actually shuttered as well. Yeah, yeah. If you're a no grid, you get really good at doing the walls. Yeah, but I'm a gritty person. I like my grids for my scenes, for my tokens. I'm just going to say that these are they all blocked off? Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense, does it? I'm being lazy. I'm just kind of trying to justify not doing windows. And it doesn't actually save me anything. There we go. No advantage to me being that lazy at all. Default. How lazy can I be? Lazy enough to make my life harder. Sounds about right, doesn't it? Okay, so we put some windows in that one, and of course we can go off and just finish all the others as well. So yeah, what's the story of Cornberry? Ah, I can't say the bloody name. If I haven't got it in front of me, I forget what it's supposed to be called. Yeah, we'll have that there. That will do. That will do. In fact, actually, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this method of keeping control held down so that I can just whiz through all of these locations. Not from that one. I didn't want to pull. Oh, bugger. Excuse my language. For those of you who might be offended by such things, do apologise. Because if I do it this way, then what I can do is go, oh, do you know what? That's an open doorway. I can just delete that, and that way I can just flow with the walls much easier. These ones that are windows, if I want to turn them into windows, I can then just do that way. Or like I said, for these, all the windows are smashed out as far as I'm concerned. So we're going to do that. So there's no door there. They can come in and explore straight around. It just makes your life a little bit easier with doing these. It's just, you know, just draw the whole thing in and then delete the ones you don't need. Okay, so we're going to go from... We're not going to go from there. We're going to go from there. Thank you very much. Straight down there-ish. And it does not have to be perfect. Remember, your players cannot see exactly where your walls are placed. They can only see up to the walls. So it doesn't matter if it's slightly wrong. In most cases. Got to do some interior walls here. So let's do a little one there. And we can slap that one in there. That will do. And we're going to do a little bit of an interior wall there. And a little bit there as well. Oh dear Lord. Perhaps I ought to just outsource all of this to you, Egler. If you're well practiced at doing this, I ought to just go, do you know what, mate? You do it. Now these are just little low walls, part of buildings and stuff like that. So you could just go, do you know what, I'm not going to bother. Could do. We don't need to be precise with all of this stuff. The players can see that these are walls and stuff. It's only really if you want to make sure that you're blocking a certain amount of vision, or you're blocking movement and stuff like that, that you might want to bother with it. You might want to just say, oh, these walls have crumbled down far enough that actually they don't really do anything. Now, if you're using something like wall height, of course, you can set these walls to be a much lower level. And you can suggest that they give things like, you know, half cover and all of that kind of stuff if you want to do that. Yeah, knock yourself out. Go for it. Spend as much time as you want to getting these things ready. I do want to, as soon as I finish doing this, and then I'm going to call it a day on this. Now here, whoops, here. That's not joined up very well at all. So the players can probably see through that. That's all right. This is a ruin. I have no problem if they can accidentally see through little bits of the wall that you perhaps go, oh, you shouldn't be able to see through that. And it's like, there's a hole in the wall. It's fine. Logically, you can get away with it. So you don't need to be too precise. What was I about to say? Oh, yes. I want to go and talk about Phandelver itself. Oh, sorry, Phandelin. As in the town, because we've not done any interior shops or anything, but I want to show you what it looks like and how we deal with that, or one way we can deal with it. Come on. We're nearly there. We're nearly there. Doing boring walls. Painful. I know it's people have told me this before, that it's painful watching me do walls. They've also told me they really enjoy watching me do walls. They've also said they find it very entertaining and are laughing at me when I do walls. horses for courses and all of that. Right, so we have things like a well here. So there's so much you can do with a map like this that is just, they go here. What's down the well? Is there something living in the well? Does that go to an underground chamber that has dried up and now there's things living in there? Is there treasures? Do any of these buildings have cellars? The module, it's like, oh yeah, you go to this ruined town and there's a path and you leave the ruined town immediately and head to Agatha's lair. That's the module. It's like well boring. Every single time I have played this, and I've played this particular adventure numerous times in various guises with lots of different groups and things, they never just go through Corranberry and just go ignore it. They don't. They go, ooh, it's a ruin. We'll have a poke around. What's here? What kind of place was it? How big is it? You know, is there anything worth looting? Of course. And they do ask those kind of questions. It's a point of interest on their map. It's a ruined town. Surely there's got to be something exciting. So do it. Fill it in with whatever you want to fill it in with. And just give them those extra. They might never come here. So don't be disappointed. But yeah, just give it a bit of a story. Give it a bit of a something if you wish to do that. Igla, the well is sentient and is thirsty. If you pour water in it thanks with the coins thrown into it from long ago. Nice. My only thing with that, Igla, is now I need a backstory for why is the well sentient? What happened? Why is the well now able to do that? But yeah, I like that. The thirsty well, put water into it, especially if you've got a cleric with create water or something like that. You know, yeah, things like that are just a little bit unusual, a little bit odd, a little bit special. And if they never come here and they never use it, that's fine. Some point they will find a well somewhere and you can use exactly that same thing. So you can write it up as this is, you know, this little encounter thing, and then just use it wherever becomes relevant in the future. It's one of the things, and I've spoken about this before, I don't like using random encounters because no encounter, I think, should be completely random. What's the point of them? If it's completely random, it's not aiding the storyline. You know, if you want something specifically to try and generate fear, you should be designing that so it fits in with the story to generate fear. If you want to drain some of their resources, design an encounter that will help drain some of their resources, depending what kind of resources you're trying to drain. Completely random encounters don't work. I much rather have a selection of, in inverted commas, random encounters and then pick from the encounters I've already developed and go, do you know what, this encounter will fit really nicely here to achieve this specific thing. The players don't know if that encounter was planned, if it's random, you roll dice for it. They don't need to know that. They just need to know, am I having a good story? Am I enjoying myself? Which is the whole point, obviously. Whole point of everything. Right, I wanted to, before I get too sidetracked, I wanted to talk about Phandelver. So, this is a live game at the moment, for parts of it, and I have got players playing. Our last session was spent nearly the whole session with this scene, just with the map of Phandelver. I don't have interiors of buildings. Now, for some of you who've been following the channel for quite a long time, we built Phandelver. We built Phandelver before, which is the version that I've run many times. That was back in version 11, or was it even version 10 possibly of Foundry? And we used teleporting into shops, and we had all sorts of really cool things going on and stuff like that. For this one, I went the opposite way. So here's the map. They can wander around the map. You know, if they go into Barthen's, there we go. I bring Barthen up. They have a chat. You know, and when they leave Barthen's, I just hide the icon. So you can see these icons are all around here, hidden for them to come and have a chat with. Now, at the moment, they have gone into the Townmaster's Hall and have been talking to Harbin Wester and things. The whole session, about an hour and a half of the session, was spent on this scene with no other maps, just the tokens popping in and out, and it worked really well. I know it worked really well because they told me it worked really well, and I've got some comments about it's one of the best sessions that they've played, like full stop, yet we only had one scene. So while I spend a lot of time talking about how you can make your scenes whizzy and automating this and all of that lot, one of the best sessions that those guys have had was this. Because they weren't distracted by effects and pictures and moving in and out of shops and all of that. They were 100% focused on what they were doing in town, talking to these individuals, and it was a really good roleplay session. Now, for newer players, it can be difficult to kind of get them to roleplay, and sometimes they will find any excuse they can to not actually engage in roleplay, and you want to kind of encourage that if you can, without making it, we'll get out my game then. You want to try and encourage it if you can, because that's where a lot of the real fun of the game comes. You know this because that's why you play. And yeah, this was it. This was the map. Now, of course, if they go to certain places, we've got those other maps that we need for those. 4x2 Lee, good evening. You finally made it. Nice to see you, buddy. Yeah, we've got those other maps for when we need them, for when we need battle maps. But actually going skinny on that stuff worked really, really well. I can still do things like put the weather on and stuff like that, to give them that ambiance and, whatever we need, a few autumn leaves or whatever works for a particular scene. But we don't need to go nuts. It works really, really well. So, as I have said last week and at the beginning of today's session, this is the last of these. We have built this now. This is ready to go. This is playable. We've got all of the key, and we've even got some extras. We've got all of the key things we need to run this adventure. It's built. We've got the monsters that we need, where we need them. You can run this exactly as is, which is what I want to achieve with this live stream. But there are definitely, and we talked about it specifically with Wave Echo Cave, about the tiles and things that we can use, different lighting and all of those bits that we can do to make this better than just a flat map with with standard tokens on. So what we're going to do, as this is the end of the live stream series, I'm sorry I can't carry on doing it as a live stream. I'm really enjoying this. I just overcommitted. Is we're going to carry on and we're going to look at adding to this how we can use different mods. It's like, right, okay, if we use Monk's active tile triggers, for example, what can we use that for in this small adventure? For things like, there's a trap there. Let's build the trap. So we'll do a video on building a trap. Lighting effects, sound effects, and things like that, whatever we want to do. So we're going to do that as a kind of like a mini series to flesh this out into a fully kind of automated, all singing, all dancing kind of visual experience for our players. Bearing in mind that we don't need to do any of that. This is 100% good to go. We don't need to do anything else. But yeah, that's what we're going to do. And we've already done some of that stuff, didn't we? We were playing with the water over here, do you remember? And I still like this. This actually looks really good. I'm well chuffed with that. And we kind of stumbled upon that just doing the live stream. That's not something that I kind of already had in my head. It was like, hang on a minute. We were playing with that lighting effect, weren't we? When we were doing, wherever it was, we were doing lighting. It was like, hang on a minute. That might be really cool to do. And I said we were going to repeat it up here, and I haven't. But we will do that, absolutely, which will be very nice. In fact, shall we do it now? Can we remember what we did? We did a light source, didn't we? So we did a light source. So the easiest way to do it is go, I want that effect. I'm going to copy that light source and I'm going to stick it over there. It's the easiest way to do it. There we go. It's already there and working. And then we put in some walls. And the walls we did were normal light restriction, but they are one-way walls because we wanted to be able to see it, but it not kind of break out from there. So I think didn't want to do that, did I? I think all we kind of needed to do was just kind of put some walls around here, and you can already see, possibly you can just see like the shadows kind of disappearing as it's blocking some of that light, because that's not what we need. And of course that's not on the grid. Don't do that. Come on. There. Thank you. And that's pretty much already done. Just need to select. No. Didn't want to do that, did I? Oh, come back. Come back. I accidentally refreshed the page because I'm an idiot. Go away, CPR. I don't need you. Thank you very much. What was I doing? I was trying to select these walls. And these ones and that one there as well. Select these walls, and it was a case of we don't want to block movement, we didn't want to block sight, we didn't want to block sound. We wanted to make this one way. Of course I'll get it wrong because I get it wrong every time. Yep. There we go. That was it. That was the effect that we had. So just got a little bit of movement there on the water. It makes it look much, much cooler. Now remember that this is, did I do it on this one? When it goes to lighting, I want to make that 0.95 so that when this goes dark, it goes dark, dark. So if we turn the lights down and I grab a random character from here, all of these backup ones ready to go. Let's chuck out a dwarf acolyte. It should be, I just need to find out if I've got his, sorry. It's got vision on. Yeah. For me as the DM, it's dark, dark. It's this dark. For the players, that would be pitch black now. Because I've actually told it to go proper dark. Darkness level of 1, and it will turn global illumination off, so that will be pitch black for that individual. Now I have chosen a dwarf, and you're going to instantly say, well, hang on a minute, dwarf should have dark vision, shouldn't they? There we go. So he's actually got a bit more. It's a bad area to do it where there's actually some light already. He's got dark vision, so he can see stuff, except you're thinking he can't, can he? He can't. This is something I have found, and this is worth fixing right now, just so you know. He's got dark vision. Under vision, I've got a dark vision mode. If I add this on and go, oh, I want to give you dark vision. I'm not sure what it is for dwarves, if it's 60 or 180. I'll give him that. It doesn't necessarily work particularly well. What I am finding is more and more important is Vision 5e for this. So let it restart, because you get a much better vision. And it's one of those ones, it's like, come on, sort it out, you know, this should be absolute core. Look at that. That's the difference. He can now see in the dark properly. He's got proper dark vision. He can, of course, light a lantern or something like that. And I don't think I've got CPR switched on. I don't think I've got... Come on, you got... No, not that. A lamp. This annoys me as well. Take the lamp out of his backpack so that he can use it. That's not what I want, is it? What's that? So it's great, thanks. That's, I mean, he's got the lamp on. You can see he's got the lamp on. That's not what working anything like how we want it to. It's, that is horrific. Can I? No, don't consume it. That's really bad. Really bad. It's actually just creating a. It's just creating a template right there and then. I want the light on him. This is where things like CPR comes in really good. Sorry, not CPR. Gambit's pre-made. Gambit's lamps and torches and things that are just pre-done, ready to go, are absolutely fantastic. Lamps can emit light in a circle. Yes, on a grid, circles are square. My issue was with that was the fact that I've got walls here, and it just put that whole thing over everything. It's like, what? That's not the experience my players want. How it should look is much more like, if I just directly on the character, what I should get is the 20, 30 or whatever it might be. I should actually get a circle of light like this, so that when he moves around, that light goes with him in a much more way, rather than being able to see that. You know, so the basic kind of lamps and stuff aren't perfect at all. It's why I do like gambits. In fact, I've more than likely got gambits installed. I've already got his pre-made here. Brilliant. So on this character, if I go torch, and I find, just move you over there, tons of torches. Right, GPS torch. Slap that on the character sheet. Let me get rid of that stupid light I just created directly on the token, because that's not how it should be at all. Now when this dwarf chooses to use this torch, he clicks it, it says, oh, do you want to light it? I do want to light it. There we go. It's got a little image of a torch, so you know who's carrying the torch, and it goes with him. It's that easy as an item. You click it, it goes on. If I click it again, I can put a torch out. You know, it's so easy, and it's one of the things. It's like, well, hang on a minute, Gambit's made that. He's still got this lantern lit as well. Gambit's made that. He's made that really easy. Why is that? Why is it not that easy from the core item? You know, and I know a lot of the core items work really well. It places a template. A template don't care about walls. Yeah, I know, but I don't want to look at that. I don't want to look at that ugly template. And I know I can hide the template, but again, that's hiding the template using other things and stuff like that. So I just, if no other reason, and I have, in fairness, I have said to Gambit, the best thing he's ever done is his torches and his lamps. If I got CPR in as well, it might actually fix his, yeah, so it's going to fix that as well. So if I use the lamp, I can light the lamp. I got a little lamp icon and it works. I can extinguish the lamp. There's also a bullseye one as well. I'm assuming that's still there. I'm getting well distracted from what we're supposed to be doing, but this is far too interesting. Yeah, so bullseye lantern. Because a bullseye lantern only shines in one particular direction. So whichever way my token is facing, and if I hold shift, I can just shine it whichever direction I want. It just works. Oh, I can see bugbears. So it will default to going whichever direction you are. They just work so well. If there's no other reason for having gambits, do it for the lighting, do it for the torches, the lamps and things like that, because they're just so slick. They're so simple to use, you know, and you get these lovely little icons of whatever it is that you've got up. If I light a torch, you know, I've now got a torch as well, and a lamp. You know, overkill, but you know, you can do that, and you can have them all on, which is, I think, is just brilliant. Yeah, I just absolutely love it. Best thing ever in D&D. Right, we are kind of out of time. I need to get rid of him, or otherwise I'll forget about him and he'll stay on this map forever. This is all ready to go. Let me put the global lighting back up. Now, of course, somewhere like this, for playing, it's all underground. It should all be dark. It should be dark. I only have the lighting on, of course, so that I can see what I'm doing when I'm building. And this is one of those things, it's about, like, before you start, it's like, where are they likely to go? Is my scene correct? This is not correct. I need to turn the lights off before we get to here. Drawing lights all over the place. Before we get to here, before they arrive here, because they're underground. To make it dark. Give those characters that have invested in playing a dwarf or whatever it is that's got dark vision, give them that advantage that they get from playing those species, and the poor humans, because almost everything else has dark vision. The poor humans and things like that, who get their extra bonuses from, you know, feats and background traits and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, they can suffer in the dark. They've got to use their light sources. They've got to use it. And with token vision on, if you can't see it, you can't hit it. You know, it's just makes it so much easier. Now, the other thing with 5e, Vision 5e, it does the hearing thing. So even if they're in the dark, if they're within a proximity and they can perceive it, they can still target those tokens in the dark. Obviously, because it's in the dark, they get disadvantage, but it still works. Right, I'm definitely rambling because that's what I do a lot of course. It's probably the thing I'm known best for, I suppose. This is done. That's the end of the live stream, pretty much. Phandelver's ready to go. As I said, there will be some follow-up videos of it, of just going, right, how can we make this, you know, much more sexy? How can we deal with this area down here and make it better? Deal with these monsters. We have got those tiles and things available that we can add on. I don't think I put any of them on at all in the end. I know there's one for down the door here and things like that. We will do that and just make it more slick. Just make it nicer, a nicer experience. We've got a light here on the map, but we need to put lights on to make it flicker. We don't have to, but we're going to. We're going to put in campfire sounds and all of that stuff. So thank you ever so much for just joining me on this little journey. This kind of, you know, first time I've kind of live streamed anything. I really appreciate the support. Jason, Igler, 4x2ly, who are here every single week, almost without fail. Thank you so much, guys. It's been great having you on board and along with us. I hope to do this again with something else different, not just another build one, but something a bit different. I don't know when that will be, but I've enjoyed it so much I'm going to find an excuse to do it. As simple as that. It's about scheduling stuff in better around with the rest of my life and things like that. So once again, thank you guys, all of you, for watching the video, as well as those people. I know there's quite a few people who hover in the background and don't join in the chat. Of course, that is absolutely fine. I appreciate every single one of you very, very muchly. And I will see you in the next video, which I'm not 100% sure what it's going to be. We are building characters and monsters in Cursive, using Cursor Strahd as the background to go over automating things like that. Of course, we're going to be automating and doing visual stuffs on maps in here. So between those two series, I'm not sure which is the next video to come, but it'll be one of those. And I need to go and find the next mod to play with. Remember, if you've got this far, in the comments of this video, what was it we were talking about, guys? What I said, oh yeah, we ought to do that. It was, oh, map makers. That's right. Your favorite map makers, like people who produce like packs of maps for adventures. So it's like, oh, I really like this person because they've got all of the maps for Phandelver, or I really like this person because they've got this map pack that covers this particular adventure series. Let us know. Let's share the love for those things. Get some exposure for those map makers and help us as DMs find good maps that are consistent styles for an entire adventure, because that really does help us an awful lot. Brilliant. Right, I'm out of here. Take care, everyone. I will see you soon. And thank you again for following along this crazy little journey. Good night.